Before rulers built cities and scholars drew plans, there were small hands shaping the future in wet clay. Little fingers pressed dreams into earth, and childhood imagination became the first blueprint of civilization. Long before paper and pencils, children pressed mud between palms to design worlds. Fields, houses, canals, tools all born in playful silence. They were engineers before the word existed. Morning light touched muddy courtyards as children gathered, bare feet cool in soft soil, clay pots beside them. Not toys of plastic lumps of river earth. Their playground was the birthplace of innovation. They watched farmers guide oxen, potters spin clay, builders lift stones, and they copied everything in miniature form. Learning was not taught in schools. It lived in eyes, hands, and earth. Little fingers shaped walls and roofs, flattening small bricks, carving tiny doorways. Villages rose in miniature before real ones grew. Architecture began in the innocence of play. Children dug tiny channels through soft mud, pouring water to see how it flowed around bends and stones. They learned irrigation before textbooks existed. Farming wisdom started in toy canals. Small lumps rolled into wheels, sticks pressed as axles. Children pulled carts through dirt like farmers in fields. Work and play were one world, and imagination drove learning. Each toy was a practice tool for adult life. Clay sickles, clay plows, clay pots perfect in tiny form. Childhood did not copy life, prepared for it. Not one child alone. Groups worked together, sharing clay, laughing, planning tiny settlements. Cooperation learned before competition existed. Teamwork was ancient, not modern. Not one child alone. Groups worked together, sharing clay, laughing, planning tiny settlements. Cooperation learned before competition existed. Teamwork was ancient, not modern. No chalkboards, no diagrams, only earth and memory. Clay became teacher, and mistakes washed away with water. Learning was forgiving and natural. The world taught softly then. Grandparents watched proudly, offering small hints, not instructions. Try again, they whispered, as a clay wall fell. Wisdom guided through patience, not pressure. Love shaped minds as much as soil did. Children placed tiny clay wells, courtyards, grain areas, roads. They mirrored the cities they lived in or dreamed of. Play became planning, and planning became history. Cities first grew in imagination, dividing fields into neat squares, carving straight lines in mud. They learned measurement without rulers, proportion without formulas, geometry through life, not symbols. These children later became stonemasons, canal engineers, potters. Their childhood models turned into real structures. Hands trained by play built civilizations. No school had ever done better. Sculpted animals stared back. Tiny homes stood firm. Water trickled through mud streets like real towns. Every tiny success brought laughter and pride. Creation was joy, not assignment. In each clay figure lived heritage. Bull icons, sacred birds, farming scenes. Children carried tradition in their tiny sculptures. Memory was molded, not written. Sometimes elders studied their clay channels, amazed at water flowing smoother in miniature. Children inspired improvements in real life. Innovation had a young voice once. Models dried in evening sun, cracks forming like ancient ruins in miniature. Children guarded their creations with pride, dreams waiting for tomorrow's touch. The world often forgets great builders, but forgets even more the children who dreamed first. If you're still here, you carry the patience of ancient learners. Stay, more clay-born genius awaits. Under shaded walls, children gathered clay in small heaps, wetting hands in pots of river water to soften each handful. Their fingers pressed, shaped, smoothed, corrected, like tiny workshops hidden inside childhood laughter. Clay sticks became tiny shovels, knives, chisels, each detail made with care, never rushed. Tools for pretend work, yet practice for real life. Play was training disguised as joy. A clay wall collapsed, tiny bricks falling apart. A child frowned, pressed soil again, tried once more. Failure was not shame, it was teacher and friend. Ancient learning had patience built inside it. They poured water along tiny canals, watching it curve, damming flow with pebbles, widening channels with sticks. No diagrams, only touch, sight, and curiosity. Science lived in muddy fingertips, not classroom boards. Little wooden sticks carved marks into clay walls. Patterns copied from homes, temples, pottery, seals. Children learned symbols before writing learned paper. Memory printed itself on wet earth. Clay roads met clay houses, leading to clay granaries. Tiny figures stood guard. Tiny wells waited for water. Children built entire worlds on dirt floors. Civilization rehearsed itself one small model at a time. Some shaped miniature bricks lined neatly to dry. Even play held organization, form, precision. Order was born not at command, but by habit, learning structure before learning rules. A child balanced small pebbles like stones near a wall, placing each one with slow concentration. Little hands practiced architecture long before tools arrived. Engineering began in the honest struggles of children. Older children guided younger ones quietly, not teaching loudly but demonstrating gently. Knowledge flowed sideways child to child, not only downward from elders. They shaped tiny boats and floated them in shallow ponds, testing which shape glided, which sank, which turned. Buoyancy discovered not by textbook, but by muddy play and river breeze. Little goats, oxen, sheep molded with tiny horns and legs, arranged in lines like herds crossing fields. Children practiced caring, counting, guiding. Future shepherds practiced leadership in clay. They built homes close together, then spaced apart, testing what felt right, what looked real. Urban planning began in instinct and imagination. Order came naturally to growing minds. Tiny tracks drawn using fingers, smooth and straight, leading from imaginary house to barn to field. Trade routes rehearsed before wheels grew full size. Commerce began in play dust, not grand halls. Children carved fields into earth squares, dragged sticks like plows, filled grooves with seeds. Harvest rituals practiced in miniature fields. Agriculture first planted in imagination. Small jars shaped and lined in rows, mirroring granaries of their parents. Understanding food safety before numbers or books. Planning for future baked into play. Two children tied twine around clay buckets, lifting water drop by drop over a tiny well, recreating real irrigation lifts they saw adults use. Innovation learned by imitation. A clay roof sagged, they added a stick as beam support. A canal flooded, they built ridges around it. Every mistake became lesson, not burden. Ancient minds sharpened without scolding. Sometimes play went quiet. Only soft breathing and clay shaping sounds remained. Children worked like craftsmen, not players. Silence was concentration, not boredom. Clay birds with long beaks, bull figurines, sacred shapes. They did not invent from fantasy. They sculpted from tradition they absorbed naturally. History lived in children before written in stone. No books, no teachers, no screens. Yet they learned engineering, farming, building, planning. The world today begins where their play once began. If you're still here, your heart still learns like theirs. A child practiced stacking clay walls again and again, learning the balance between strength and collapse. What looked like play was training for real brick and mortar. Skill grows best when disguised as joy. Little sticks carved window holes, shaped door frames, teaching design before rulers ever measured space. They learned airflow, light, comfort unconsciously. Homes first lived in play before rising in clay and stone. Children built small courtyards between homes, tiny public squares and places to gather. They understood community without being told the word. Human connection was natural architecture. Miniature clay lamps placed near tiny house entrances, kids copying elders lighting homes at dusk. Tradition passed from heart to hand, silently, lovingly. Culture was never lectured, it was lived. Clay models left under shade, waiting for morning touch. No fear of breaking, only hope of continuing creation. Children woke excited not for games, but for building the world again. Parents shaped real bricks while children shaped practice ones. Family learning, no classrooms, no lessons, no ranks. Generations taught through presence, not instruction. Childhood was apprenticeship wrapped in laughter. Parents shaped real bricks while children shaped practice ones. Family learning, no classrooms, no lessons, no ranks. Generations taught through presence, not instruction. Childhood was apprenticeship wrapped in laughter. During festivals, families baked tiny figurines in fire, children adding new ones beside old sacred shapes. Memory became collectible clay blessings. Tradition and imagination walked side by side. Some children stood proudly, staring at their mud villages, dreaming of building real cities someday. Life did not ask them to choose passion. It grew naturally inside them. Their stories never reached scrolls or stone carvings, yet they shaped the world more than kings and priests. Engineering once began in innocence, not ambition. Today we are close to honoring them completely. Tiny palms became steady hands as years passed, shaping clay models into real walls and real roads. Childhood practice became adult craftsmanship. Dream and duty were one thing then. Soil stayed on their fingertips as they grew older, reminding them of childhood foundations. Knowledge lived in hands, not certificates. The earth itself was their first teacher. No roof, no benches, no chalk. Yet the smartest minds sat in dusty courtyards. Future builders learned under open skies. Wisdom breathed in sunlight and soil. From these children rose canal planners, brick masons, architects, temple builders, pot makers, house designers. Civilizations did not appear magically. They were imagined first in little muddy hands. Archaeologists today find tiny clay carts, toy animals, small houses, proof that childhood built the ancient world. They whisper across centuries. We learned by playing, and so can you. Some models dried and cracked, others washed away in rain, but the knowledge stayed in minds and hearts. Not all learning must last physically. Some learning is shaped and carried within. Today's toys glow and beep but lack earth scent. Yet somewhere, a child still plays with mud by a river, rediscovering the oldest way to learn. History repeats quietly in small hands. No statues honor these young creators, yet every brick city, every bridge, every canal owes them a debt. Childhood curiosity built foundations of progress. The world rose because they imagined it first. Let us remember the little builders who shaped tomorrow without knowing their greatness. Their clay models were more than toys. They were blueprints of history. If you watched this far, your heart still listens to ancient wonder. Honor those tiny engineers who shaped worlds with mud. And remember, greatness often begins in small, humble hands.